Sharpen all the edges that I hide, I'm a liar. See my body licking up the flames from the fire. They can never kill me, so they feel me even tighter. What remains of us? 40 in the strength, I'm a fighter. 50 in the faith, take me higher. I'm a riser, but my demons like the tide. Burn in my eyes. Blood moon, white faint, light blue, my stains like flame. Then we got into realms, yeah. Sun breath hit my wrist, blade fall like the mistake. Cares like a peak, yeah. Malachite, turn a tarnish to a gray side, yeah. Kiss of death, but I miss the way it tastes like, yeah. Through the frenzy and the flame, I keep the honor beside me. This faith will abide me, we're burning the two. Sharpen all the edges that I hide, I'm a liar. See my body licking up the flames from the fire. They can never kill me, so they feel me even tighter. What remains of us? 40 in the strength, I'm a fighter. 50 in the faith, take me higher. I'm a riser, but my demons like a tide. Blood moon yellow in my eyes, war horse in the crypt. A nightmare, great sword on my hip, in my head. I'm a riser, but my demons like a tide. Blood moon yellow in my eyes. But don't wish for walls to talk. They scream until I left the room. Blood writing on the walls tells me I'm born inside a tomb. I don't cower, I just power back. Water breathing got me feeling like I swallowed glass. Form 11, lose the weapon, you don't see it. If you spy it, never try it. They can deflect. Tweet what I saw, but I'm grim when I don't see that curse on the corpse. I'm a scourge, I'm the worst. Before the falling, I could bear this burden. 100 days ago, I found my purpose. Sharpen all the edges that I hide, I'm a liar. See my body licking up the flames from the fire. They can never kill me, so they feel me even tighter. What remains of us? 40 in the strength.
And we are live. Ooh, let me change the background because it's going to get confusing. There we go. Oh, it looks so much prettier.
What'd you do?
I forgot to change the background. It's all good. This is what happens when you are trying to set things up and answer text messages at the same time.
Oh, it's been that kind of day.
It's like, but hi, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another Grapple Gurus review. This time, the Wrestle Watch boys, your WWE crew, is going to be covering and reviewing SummerSlam 2024. I am one of your hosts, Mikey. Joining me this evening is the Professor John. Hi, Professor.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Dick.
Hi. Thank you. I say that to my students. Not everyone knows what I'm talking about. We started talking about SummerSlam during the SmackDown review, for those of you who watched both. For all 10 of you that might have watched both by now. It's hard not to talk about the two because there's so much going on here. And again, as always, the internet is polarized for this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing. I'm still upset that some of y'all picked this perfectly and I got hosed again. Like, I had no chance. but what are you gonna do?
We'll discuss all that at the end because I have the graphic because I like to be professional and also slightly rub it in my co-host's face. Just
That's
kidding.
fair. I'm gonna end up in a onesie. I get it. All right.
I try not to be competitive, but I can't help it.
Well, it's competitive in a fun way, sure. It's not like I'm, trying to chop block you as you're bowling or something. That's a little different.
Push me to the floor.
Oh, no, you can't do it now.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, this was. I'm just kind of shocked that everyone's reviews and the stuff that I'm reading, everyone was like, we knew exactly what was going to happen. But I feel like every time we kind of know exactly what's going to happen, they curveball us. This one, they didn't. They kind of gave us exactly what we thought in ways we didn't think they would. So they kind of walked that line for the most part. It was still surprising. Stuff was still surprising. We knew it would happen, but then it happened this way. So they did a good job as far as that goes.
They did. I also have never, at least so far in 2024, I have never seen a PLE from WWE so divisive as this one was. Because you have some people say this was garbage, this was bad, and then other people are like, this was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just depends on the lens that you look at it. And we're gonna try to do our best to find a middle ground when we go to all this. But before we get started, I'm gonna just put this up here. We are gonna be talking about SummerSlam.
There it is.
So me and Professor here, because Minnie is currently, trying to resurrect his car in some capacity.
Oh, jeez.
So he may or may not be popping in later, but you're just stuck with me and the Professor. But we're going to be covering SummerSlam. We're going to go through the matches. That we might agree upon some things, we may disagree upon some things, but me and Professor love and respect each other enough to, not be total turds to each other. That applies to you, internet. Don't be turds in the comments because I will block you. In the words of Willy Wonka, you lose. Good day, sir. So just be kind and respectful. We can have disagreements, but don't be a dirt. And yeah, so don't be a jerk. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I did a little. I try not to go too far into the internet. I'm similar to Adolfo in that way, where like I take it all with a grain of salt, sure. And I feel like every PLE is polarized, but we feel it differently when it's one that we like, and we're like, no, I kind of think this is great. I hate it, and those folks are always out there. I read that one person felt that. And I kind of agreed that the return of the megastar that was the end of SummerSlam was a little too soon. And I kind of agree, but we'll talk about why they did what they did timeline-wise. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of great that we have the fodder to talk about it this way, but you can't take this stuff personal, guys. It's just wrestling.
It's just wrestling. And that's the mindset that we here at BC WrestleBlog had. We're on the internet. We know it's going to get wild here. And we can't just take it too much to heart.
It's okay. If anything, we still have the memes of the bloodline going through Taco Bell.
Yes.
Going through car washes of Fast and the Furious 30 or whatever the hell it was. Like there's,
that's the wrestling internet that I want to see more of. It's like, just make memes and just be fun about it. Cause it's great. Oh boy. So before we get started, this was the poster that we got to advertise SummerSlam this year. The bloodline driving in this car. And again, the internet did what it needed to, took out the background and put them in front of like Taco Bell.
The Star Wars one's really good. I thought that was quite brilliant. Like there's some Photoshop. So good.
Fantastic. But SummerSlam 2024 took place in Cleveland, Ohio. At the Cleveland Brown Stadium. I'm just going to get this out of the way because we're going to keep bringing it up. But this Cleveland, Ohio, y'all don't deserve another PLE because y'all were quiet for the majority of this until the very end. I was like, what happened?
We're going to start with this? We're going to start with the crowd?
Let's start with the crowd.
So we talked about this on the SmackDown review, and I'm kind of bringing this up too because we're not the only ones to point this out. These PLEs, the big four, right? Survivor Series, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Royal Rumble have all become like the Super Bowl or the World Series, where casuals spend tens of thousands of disposable income dollars to go see a product that they don't know anything about, which is fine. You could still figure out pretty quickly when to cheer, when to boo, when to whatever. But this crowd was dead. And I don't know if it was being in a stadium like this. There's folks that are obviously animated and happy to be there. Great, but silence. And not to invoke other promotions this early into a review, but I mean, there are other places where they are loud and raucous and in it and with you. I don't know if this is just curse of outdoor stadium events or what. You went to an outdoor stadium event and it was not like this or didn't come off this way.
No,
so very, very strange.
It's really weird, and I don't. I want to say this gently, but I think and this is just a me thing. I feel that it just depends on location because, again,
Sure.
When I went to WrestleMania 2 years ago, when it was at SoFi, the crowd was electric for both nights. And shoot,
Yeah.
even when we went to the smaller arena for NXT Stand and Deliver, the crowd for NXT was amazing.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on where you're going, because and I'm not saying, because I know there are some like places in the United States that don't ever get these big events to come through their town,
Sure.
which I want all of them to, but I feel that as peoples and persons of the United States, we're spoiled for choice because we pretty much get all of these big events.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to take the mentality that the international crowds have every time we watch a pay-per-view, because those international crowds always bring it. And that's because they realize, we don't get these that often. So we got to show up and show out. So they'll want to come back.
Those folks in Lyon, those folks in Puerto Rico, the UK show, like all of them, like
Berlin is Berlin's about to be on and popping in a couple of weeks. That Berlin crowd's going to get wild.
I have a feeling that crowd, especially based on how SummerSlam went, I think that crowd's going to go crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about the crowd, but there are some moments where the crowd kind of made a difference in the feel of the thing, and we'll get there when we get there.
I know, it's ridiculous, but I don't have a slide for this per se, but SummerSlam kicks off. We have Triple H come down, welcoming everyone, asking them if they're ready. And then we get America the Beautiful and this year's SummerSlam theme song performed by Jelly Roll and the choir and his band.
Does anyone go out there and like download the theme for these PLEs? Like, are there people out there who are like, that theme was really good? Like, are those people out there?
Here's the thing. I'm a big music person. And so the pay-per-view themes, I feel like can enhance or hurt. I've never, except for Heatwave, because Heatwaves for NXT this year was not a great theme. But NXT tends to have better theme songs than the main rosters, and I don't understand why. Y'all have this money and you can't get good songs, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a music nerd as well, and pro wrestling and music is a deep dive that deserves its own podcast series of music and musicians that have gone through and all that stuff and history of that. I get it. It's just funny to me that. Sorry, it's just more of that late stage capitalism. Look at this song, buy, sell, this music, this. Okay, am I 10 years from now? I'm going to be like, what I really want to hear? I want to hear the theme from SummerSlam back in 2024. That's a song that I haven't heard in a while. I don't know.
Yeah, the other issue I have too is the big four pay-per-views always tend to lean to a certain demographic and to a certain subsect of the United States.
Which one?
You know it, and I know it. It's the Caucasian persuasion, the white people. I'm gonna give the emphasis like the Hut 2 girl did a couple on TikTok on the internet.
The white middle America. Yeah, no, I get it.
No, but Backlash, the international PLEs had banging theme songs because they took artists from actually there. That's why I'm saying. But anyways, so we kick that off with Jelly Roll. And we immediately get straight into business because our opening match for SummerSlam is for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Liv Morgan defending her title against mommy herself, Rhea Ripley.
I was sort of surprised we started with this, but then
I was too.
Once I thought about it, I was like, who else starts? You don't start Logan Paul LA Knight. You could have, but then we would have been like, oh, we're starting with it. Like, I think all of these lineups all of the matches were so good. Any of them starting when we were like, oh, we're starting here. Like, I think we all would have had that whiplash no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. But so let's just talk about a few key moments in this match, because again, and I'm going to be repeating myself for a majority of these matches, I was like, the wrestling in ring was fine, but that took a backseat to the stories that we were telling in these matches.
I still thought this was really good. though.
Rhea Ripley popping her shoulder back into place numerous times.
Okay, let's talk about that.
The first time was cool with the table, and then we kept doing it. And I was like, okay, now we're overdoing it.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that was the crowd. She went and did this thing, and 54,000 people, nobody reacted. And it was like, girl just put her shoulder back in, and the crowd just went, oh, okay. So she doubled down on it and did it again just to sell the fact that she did it. I don't know. Maybe it was the crowd. I think, and I talked about this because I review the other promotion and their shows. We just had this with Will Ospreay, and then we did it with somebody else. I can't remember. So now there's this wave of look at me popping the shoulder back in thing. Granted, Rhea's a little different because that actually happened. So,
right. So I was just like, okay.
That was her injury.
And here's my thing, and I've said it on numerous SmackDown reviews with you and Minnie, and then I've said it on Raw too. In the year of 2024, I always worry when we have these like injury spots that end up being a work, because for me, I get taken out of it, and I get that's part of the story. So this one wasn't as bad. When we get to our main event, we're going to talk about somebody who actually did hurt themselves, and that was even scarier.
That's really bad, because now where do you go? I liked this match. I thought it was a great way to start. I think the two of them work really, really well together. Liv Morgan is all over the place. I'm on the blue brand, so I haven't seen her in a while, but she was incredible. She climbed Rhea like a jungle gym, and Rhea threw her like a rag doll, and it was fantastic. I love the opening, playing the heel of I'm not even going to be in the ring to start the thing. I think that was lost on the crowd. They were just sort of bored by it. And I was like, this is hilarious. You guys don't know what you're looking at. I forgot how ridiculous Dom's mustache is in person. Dude looks like a T-ball coach from 1988, and it's fantastic.
Bro, when you
and
mix
I'm here
that
for
with
it.
the mullet too,
He looks like he's every... I never left this town after high school. Now I coach JV baseball.
He literally is Uncle Rico from Napoleon.
He's Uncle Rico. He's Uncle Rico from Ensenada. It's perfect. I think it's great. Again, they acted the hell out of this. This was theater. Wrestling was still great, but Liv Morgan is all the emotions. She's crying halfway through this. She's excited halfway through this. She's in the moment the entire time. I was very as acting teacher. I was impressed with that. I was like, oh damn, Liv Morgan could have a acting career based on what she's doing in the ring. And I always knew that. I was just reminded of, oh yeah, there it is. Rhea had no rust, nothing. She hit all these huge spots. Rhea got her in the that boot about halfway through in the first time.
It was so good.
Oh, I was like, oh, is she even alive? And then she did that. I'm forgetting the name of it. What's the It's not a shamrock. It's a figure four with the arms, and it's called.
I want to say it's a cloverleaf.
Cloverleaf. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Cloverleaf shamrock. Cloverleaf with one hand, like picking her up with one hand because she only had the one on. Like beautiful feats of strength.
And then of course Rhea's riptide is always a thing of beauty when she hits it.
And then Liv getting out of it is still like, oh, she's just gonna. Oh, how did you do that? But I was all in on this. I thought this was a blast. I like Rhea being torn on. So Rhea goes to get a chair, says I'm going to crush her. Dom stops her, and everybody goes, wait, why would you stop her? And he has to go, you can't win this way. You can't do this way. So there's a little bit of rationale there, but there's just a hint of betrayal there, which is a great kernel for what happens in like the next 5 minutes after that. But I thought they played. I'm going to say this. This was one of the better matches of the night, and we started with it. I'm not a big match of the night guy, but if I had to pick, this is my 1-1A, 1-1-2. Like it's right there based on everything else we saw.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that finishing sequence because Dominic stops Rhea initially from using the chair, and then Dominic, a couple minutes later, we fast forward. The chair is now in the ring because Dom slides it. Then he distracts the referee, which allows Liv to hit the Oblivion to Rhea on top of that chair and allows Liv to retain her women's world heavyweight championship. And then to add salt to the wound, insult to injury, Dominic goes over to Liv and they make out in front of Rhea.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I had the quote from Pat McAfee, dirty Dom and his no good dirty ass mustache.
We can't talk about commentary yet. We'll talk about commentary later. They were
on one tonight.
They were in a mood, and I actually kind of liked them this time. They were actually quite funny. That oblivion that Rhea took was devastating looking. Was fantastic.
She sold that DDT too earlier in the match. So good too.
She does this great thing that Scott Hall and a few others used to do, where they hit. Stone Cold used to sell this way too. The Rock a little bit. Later on a little bit. The move happens. You hit it and you pop up to sell it, and it's really hard to make it legitimate. And Rhea does it almost like a cartoon character, which is perfect because she kind of is an anime character at this point. You're absolutely right. It hits the Oblivion on the chair. The DDT is what I'm mixing up. The DDT and then the Oblivion. We've been calling for the implosion of the Judgment Day for about 6 months. I was calling for it about a year ago because they were all stuck. But then they got involved in the tag title stuff, and the Dom and Rhea thing really kicked off. So there was a reason to keep it going. And of course, there's only so many storylines we can pursue. Rhea Ripley getting hurt kind of saved the Judgment Day plot lines, right? And it's a horrible thing to say, and I don't mean it in any slight, but it made this all cut deeper. It made this story so much more fascinating and now heartbreaking, kayfabe heartbreaking for Rhea Ripley, and awkward and strange for Liv Morgan, who grew up on the rich side of town, and Dirty Dom, who just graduated high school and coaches JV softball. Like, it's just a weird, what are we doing?
We're literally telling the outsiders, like, this is the outsiders.
We kind of are in a weird way. Yeah.
Rhea Ripley is Pony Boy.
Goodness. All the things.
Oh, but man, this was a really fun match to kick off SummerSlam. And yeah, this is not the last time because one half of the Terror Twins lost.
That kiss they drop is like, whoa. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I was like, ew, it's so gross, but that's how I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah, I'm like.
And then I'm thinking of Dominic's wife at home. She's like,
Oh, every theater couple understands that moment of like, you're in the moment. It's the play. Great, move on.
Also, side note, shout out to Buddy Matthews for keeping kayfabe alive because he tweets at Tony Khan on Twitter as soon as this happens. It's like, Tony, can I go over there to help mommy a little bit? And Tony,
did you really?
Yeah, and then Tony Khan tweets back. It's just like, no, it's okay because Jay's over there. I was like, oh shit. This is where I'm okay with other companies bringing up the other companies because this is fun. Tony Khan's like, nah, it's okay because Jay Uso's over there.
I don't think there will ever be a super card. I don't think it'll ever happen because there's too many things in the way. But stuff like that, the fact that we have that kind of the option makes me happy. That's great.
It is
that
fantastic.
Kind of outlet for this sort of thing. Oh, could you imagine Buddy Matthews just walking up like, hey,
be like,
did you kayfabe cheat on my wife? Like, what do we even say?
Oh my goodness.
Goodness gracious.
I absolutely love this match. What a fun way to open up SummerSlam. And we're going to head to our next match, which is for the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn versus Bronze Breakker.
Yeah, very bronze. Very bronze.
Okay, so I come to find out because this match only clocked into 5 minutes. Apparently, they were given 10 minutes, but I couldn't find the reason why they decided not to take the full 10 minutes. I've been hearing rumors that Braun hurt himself in the middle of this match, and I'm like, I hope not.
So Minnie brought that up the other day. Like there was a story that says they thought that he was injured right in the beginning because he throws his shoulder into there, and then there's a lump that appears immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you heard Rhea Ripley's story about her and her shoulder, she went, oh, that's a bone. I don't know if that's true. If Braun actually popped it back in and then finished the rest of this, my God, what a human being he is.
He got that dog in him, as the kids say.
Mm-hmm.
So
and say too much unironically, and after a while it's like you don't even know why you're saying that anymore.
We're getting close to Steiner math. It's great. Okay. So here's my thing. Am I happy that Braun Breaker is your new Intercontinental Champion? Yeah, I like Braun as champion. I think it's going to be fun. But if this was going to be the end result, why didn't we have him win at Money in the Bank?
Yeah. Why not do it? Why didn't we do it earlier?
And honestly, their match at Money in the Bank for this title was a little bit better
than
this one.
They ran time longer. Sammy had more of the I'm the underdog. It didn't. The danger here was everyone kind of knew, even based on Sammy's entrance, Sammy walking in, hyping up the crowd, yelling and screaming and doing, look at me, I'm the underdog, you're an underdog, you're Cleveland thing. We all still went, yeah, Braun's going to smoke you. We all just felt it. We all just kind of knew from where we were going. And there's nothing wrong with that in pro wrestling. They did as much as they could. I think they pulled the trigger too late. I think they could have done this at Money in the Bank, and that's all we would have talked about after Money in the Bank, right? We would have gone, oh my God, they're going to push Braun like a Goldberg because he has a Goldberg tattoo. We're going to connect all the dots. I like this match. I thought it was great. It was a Sami Zayn match instead of a Braun Breaker match, if that makes sense to you. Where's the Money in the Bank match? That was a Braun Breaker match. This was a Sami Zayn, I'm the underdog, but I didn't have enough match. That's why I kind of agree with you. That's just a semantic thing. For me, great match, solid match. I'm not taking anything away with this. For me, the great thing was afterwards hearing and watching everyone in the booth, his whole family up there. And Nash up there and everyone who kind of grew up with him and knew him and his father and his uncle and everybody else going, oh my God, there he is.
They had the whole squad up there because it was both Steiners.
Yeah.
It was Kevin Nash. X-Pac was up there.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker's girlfriend, who is also an NXT talent, Izzy Dane, was up in there too.
And it was great that nobody knew.
Yeah, it was really nice.
And it's almost kind of, they're even surprised that it's only 5 minutes. And they're like, oh, and they all stand up like, it just happened right in front of us.
We're like, we weren't expecting him to win like that.
So I'm happy for him. He does seem like a genuinely okay guy, which, not to go into full Steiner lore, but his dad and his uncle were kind of horrible.
His uncle is still permanently on my shit list because he's very transphobic, and they made it abundantly clear.
And can't pick up his arms. He's trying to cheer, and he's like, it's like, oh gosh, wrestling will kill you. Right.
So here, like I said before, I thought this was a fine match. Now, what I am looking forward to, though, if the reports are to believe, so we're moving Sammy away from this because I think Sammy's going to find himself involved in this bloodline civil war leading into Survivor Series War Games, which means Braun's going to need a new challenger. And if the rumor mill is supposedly to be believed, I'm ready for this Braun and Ilya feud. I really am. Oh yeah,
how remarkable is that going to be?
Well, actually, even what they were teasing by having it a triple threat or a fatal four-way with you have Sheamus involved. Well, Sheamus and Pete Dunne are fighting right now, but a triple threat between Ludwig Kaiser, Braun Breaker, and Ilya Dragunov. I'm like, that is a match at Match in Berlin. Go, give me.
Oh my God, that's gonna split Germany right in two again. That'll be amazing. Braun is favoring his shoulder this whole time. Now that I'm watching the replay here. And he's not favoring it in a kayfabe way.
Again, I really hope
he's really holding himself like, I'm going to not show the pain, and then does some stuff. And then I do hope he's all right. You never want anyone to get injured.
Oh, absolutely. But congratulations to Braun.
Yeah, I think that's great.
being, moved over from NXT and winning a main roster title within a short span of time is awesome. Hopefully we'll see your counterpart, Carmelo Hayes, do something similar in the next couple of months on SmackDown.
Oh, poor Carmelo. It's gonna be him and Andrade fighting forever.
Hey, if we get a best of 7 series, I'm not necessarily mad at all that. But
do the Barbosa Jack Sparrow thing. So what are we, Jack? Fighting 2 undead souls, fighting for all eternity.
I love that that's their frame of reference. It's fantastic.
Where I go to, yeah.
I love it. So once again, love you, Sammy. This was the first of many title changes tonight, might I add. There were so many title changes tonight. I was kind of happy about it. I was like, I'm used to the champions never losing at these pay-per-views, but man, majority of titles switched hands during SummerSlam.
I think we got to change them way more than we do. I think we got to shake them up way more than we do. I do agree that Gunther holding it as long as he did needed to happen because it brought prestige to that title. And then the exact opposite for Roman. Roman holding it as long as Roman did diminished that title, and we don't care. And it's going to take a while for us to care about that title again because why? And I feel like, segue, we got to do something similar with the U.S. Championship because now it could mean something forever.
Right. Before we get into our next match, I didn't put a slide in here, but I want to talk about how homoerotic that Manscaped commercial was that we got.
Bruh.
Because we got this right after this match, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, Otis, what is happening? Oh God, why is it going low? Oh my God. Oh, okay. He's just doing the belly hair, but still.
I don't have it. It's not showing up on my Peacock replay, which tells you something. It was. I need to go.
That was an ad for sure, and I was just like, I don't know what I watched. I thought it was hilarious though.
There's a little bit of like, am I supposed to be seeing this?
It was a fever dream.
Is this a leak? Is this happening? What was in my drink? Oh, Otis. I love that he doesn't take himself seriously. And that just makes him so much more endearing to everyone.
I love him. I just wish we'd do something more with him. But it was a fever dream of an ad. Speaking of
I love WWE's Bulbasaur. He makes me happy.
He is WWE's Bulbasaur. So fantastic. So going from one fever dream, because I thought I was in another one, by the end result of this, I thought someone was punking me. But we go to our United States Championship match. Logan Paul, the Maverick, defending his title against the challenger, LA Knight. Yeah.
So mad. I've picked LA Knight to win this and win at every pay-per-view for 2.5 years. I picked against him this time because I was like, there's no way Logan Paul wrote in his contract, I'm going to lose in Cleveland. And he did. And I'm like, well, what? Great. What? Oh, I'm going to end up in a onesie. This match was fantastic. I'm going to say this for the record. I hate Machine Gun Kelly. I'm not a Machine Gun Kelly.
Everybody does. Like, I got text messages from folks. They're like, why is he there? I'm like, I don't know. You act like I'm booking the show. Like,
stand that guy. He represents everything that I hated when I was in high school as a punk kid. And then everything I hated in junior college.
Music is not great.
The fact that Eminem crushed him so bad he had to change genres.
Yes.
and like, just seeing how he treats and what he treats people is like a cross section of humanity that everything I hate about humans. That being said,
this match though was kind of great.
this was a great. So the folks that say LA Knight is just a standard brute wrestler, I'm not saying you're not wrong. I'm saying he is that, but he makes whoever he is with better. And that's a tough place to be, right? When it's sort of like, hey, I'm going to ground everything you do. Go ahead and do all the crazy things. I'm going to be able to sell it, hold it, catch you. All the big flashy things he could ground. And yeah, he's not doing flips. He's not doing a lot of catch wrestling stuff. I'm sure he's got it in there somewhere. He just doesn't use it. And generic's the wrong word. He is so solid at what he is good at. Someone like Logan Paul can get in there and do these crazy athletic things, and I believe it, and it's safe, and so I go both ways on that. Because sometimes I'm not saying I've ever watched an LA Knight match and wanted more. I've always watched and been like, yeah, that was great. Nobody got hurt. Nobody this, nobody that. I'm wondering what hit Logan Paul in the eye. Did you hear anything about that? Something got him right in the face.
Bro, it developed. I was like, oh, okay, it was probably scrape. And then by the end of the match, it's like almost a whole entire black eye. I was like, what happened?
Yeah. I mean, that moonsault he throws off the ropes is like, who are you? How are you doing this?
That came out of nowhere. He's just like, LA Knight's on the outside. And then within just like a split second, it's like, all right, let's do this. Whoop. I was like, sir, how did you manage to do that?
Yeah,
like,
so
that was wild.
As an athlete, again, and what he's done and doing for wrestling, fantastic. A fantastic heel. Horrible person. Fantastic heel. That high kick leg drop thing, gorgeous. Like it's I hate that I'm saying this. It's fun to watch his match. It's fun to watch him cheat. It's fun to see how are you going to cheat this time. And I'm angry that he's cheating, but I know what's going to happen. So I thought commentary here was okay. They kind of buried the lead a few times and let me know what was going to happen by the end. They were kind of dictating a little too much. But this is fun. I thought this was great.
This was definitely a highlight match for me. Again, Logan tries to cheat with the brass knucks. It backfires completely.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the BFT, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're actually going to let him do it. Oh my gosh. And I audibly screamed when LA got the 3 count. I'm like, oh my gosh, they actually did. They let this man become champion.
Yeah. I didn't think they were going to let him do it. I thought they were going to milk it for as long as they possibly could. I just saw the replay of that moonsault. My God, I forgot how good that was. Paul, when something interesting Logan Paul does, this is the other thing I was going to say. When he throws that punch, that not phenomenal forearm, that titanium reinforced, whatever it is thing, he throws it and drops his elbow. And instead of other folks that kind of open their hands or kind of throw it and miss or whatever, he's throwing it, he's dropping his elbow and then following through, and he's doing it so fluidly. And I personally think that LA Knight's the best one at selling this. It looks like you just took his soul from his body. Like, he's really good at throwing that, and LA Knight just sells it so well. But you're right. I had the same reaction. I didn't think they were going to pull the trigger, and they did. I thought they were going to make us wait for a long time just because they've made him wait for so long. I do think this is an opportunity to make this title mean something. I don't think you have to go full Gunther and make him hold it for 2-3 years, but you can give him, make him defend it, get some storylines behind it. I don't know who it would be. It seems like Logan Paul's going to be gone for a little while. In the breaking news, as of 2 hours ago, you want to tell everyone what happened 2 hours ago?
I'm going to let you do it since you brought it to me, so I'm going to allow you to take credit. Journalistic.
Basically, and other outlets are reporting this, Logan Paul has filed an actual lawsuit against the WWE because LA Knight vandalized the Prime truck. And that was not part of the kayfabe agreement of what was supposed to happen. And there's a whole court log and jury request for a jury trial. One LA Knight plaintiff, this, like, it's a lawyer wrote it. so
good.
Logan Paul shared it on the Twitter and said, I'll see you in court. There's been no response from LA Knight or WWE as of right now. But another folks are commenting and who went and ran and looked up the docket. It's been filed. So I don't know if this is real or what, or there's folks saying like, yeah, there's record that this actually happened. So I don't know how long this is going to go. I thought Logan Paul was going to lose, get angry, take his Prime money and leave. Maybe he sticks around. Is he a pro wrestler now? Is this who he is?
I know he has a part-time contract. So I'm wondering if, I don't know if we get a rematch at Bash in Berlin, or you know what? Honestly, if they build this up correctly, I feel like this is actually a feud I would like to see at Bad Blood.
Sure.
We'll see what happens. But the fact that he filed a court document is hilarious to me. And it's so meta, and I want them to run with this in the best way possible.
I think they will. I think they have to, because it's just so ridiculous, right?
LA Knight gets thrown into jail, and the next time we see him, he's in the 50 Cent in the club music video doing like doing sit-ups from the bar.
Can we get LA Knight in jail montage, like training to get out? And then he comes back with some.
I'm like, WWE, you have the money. He comes out to 50 cents in the club just for one entrance.
Does he get the LA Dodgers logo tattooed right on his eye and then come out of jail and he's a totally different LA Knight now?
This would not be the first time that LA Knight's been thrown into jail, because he got thrown in jail when he was stalking AJ's house.
Dude's got a jacket, as they say. I'm impressed. We'll see where this goes. I'm intrigued.
But finally, LA Knight wins the championship. Now that we have it on him, hopefully we can do a long feud. If Logan Paul is not up to get a rematch anytime soon, LA versus Santos would be a really fun feud, because we've also been teasing that on SmackDown too, which would be fantastic.
That's where we'll go. We might have a best out of 3 rubber match type thing with Santos, because Santos is due for something. Santos has been busting his ass for a long, long time. I wouldn't be surprised to see that at a Survivor Series, right?
Right? That'd be a fun match.
LA Knight versus all of Phantasma, like him, and now we have this sort of thing at play. We'll see.
So, congratulations to LA Knight. He is your new WWE United States champion. And we go on to our next match. This one hurts my heart.
I liked this match. The internet did not.
We're gonna get this out of the way. We are not going to talk about Nia's body and her size, because that is not fair. That is not right. And we are not shaming, her on this channel. However,
a lot of lesser humans are using this match to shame women in general. And I'm like, did you watch it? And I'm not sure if it's that. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on that.
However, though, I love Bailey, but Nia threw her around like a ragdoll for 70% of the match.
Bailey made her look strong. Like there's some shit in here that I'm like, whoa, Bailey, I haven't seen you do that. The suplex she took from Nia, and Nia just holding her up, Bailey countering it and doing that koala thing, and then that whole sequence. And then after that, it was like, whoa, they're gonna move here. Oh, they're doing some stuff here. Nia Jax sat on her 6 times. And 1 or 2 of those, she kind of put her back into it, like, oh God, that did not feel good. Because her and Bailey have worked together quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken. That's what we've talked about, right? Like they have a history going back, working quite a bit. So Bailey hit her with some of those chops at the top that I was like, that looks brutal as well. So they were not holding back. The crowd was kind of into this, and then they just kind of checked out about halfway through, which is a shame. And then Tiffany.
Yeah. Tiffy time.
Yeah, you want to talk about what happens, and then I can have an opinion?
So, okay. So I'm going to briefly talk about it, because this part goes into the finish of the match, which is the last 3 minutes or so. After Bailey hits a gnarly power bomb to Nia Jax,
which is
carried her for a little bit, which was nuts. But after that happens, both women are on the floor, and then it's Tiffy time. Tiffany Stratton's music hits, so she's running down with her pink Money in the Bank briefcase with the ref. So I'm like, no way, they're actually going to do this. It's going to be kind of nuts. So before Tiffany could get into the ring, Bailey kind of keeps her out of it. I was like, good on you, champ. This is going to be interesting. But unfortunately, it was enough of a distraction for Nia Jax to hit 2, annihilators onto Bailey. The first one, I was like, okay. And then she did the second one for good measure to keep Bailey down, because she knew if she did it, Bailey was going to get back up. So I was like, there we go. Let wrestlers be smart in matches. It's like horror movie rules. We got to double tap it in order to make sure they stay down.
Those power bombs she threw before dragging Bailey was gross. Those looked like those could have finished it right there. I believe that.
Yeah. And so after the second annihilator, 1, 2, 3, your winner and your new WWE Women's Champion is the Queen, Nia Jax. And then her and Tiffany were celebrating the win before Nia gets out of the ring and goes celebrates with her family, which to me was really nice to see. I'm like, oh,
yeah, that's cute.
But Nia's our champion now.
Yeah. I got nothing against Nia Jax. I kind of buried all those things a while ago. She's been through so much. The internet is mean to her. The folks that have watched her work and have worked with her vouch for her and what she does. Of course, they're going to kayfabe poker buttons, sure, but I'm happy for her. I think it's going to work out. And now I'm interested in what Tiffany does because that's now a whole new angle. The idea of Tiffany versus Nia at some point is wild to me.
I have a whole booking thing that I can go into right now.
And I think I don't want to say fans because the real fans know how hard this is. The pundits and folks that just want to run their mouths. There's folks out there saying that Tiffany saved this match by showing up and showing her face. I'm like, are you crazy? That made me care.
These are the same people. These are the same people that said the exact same thing with Io and Bayley's match at WrestleMania. I'm like, dude, were we watching the same thing? Because that match was great. I was like, what are you talking about?
And we're just harder on the women because we feel like this is a boys' club, and until that culture changes, we're just gonna have those folks out there, and that's a shame. I thought this was solid. I could have seen it go a little bit longer here and there. There wasn't anything wrong with this. It was still a PLE caliber match, and we didn't lose any momentum moving, which is something we talk about here all the time. Is like this is where it dipped. There was no dip. This was fantastic.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, the only critique I had is not even with the match itself. Is just that I feel bad for Bayley because we made her title reign like not the greatest that it could have been. I liked her matches that she had during this title reign, but WWE kind of did a disservice to our girl here. But hey, you know what? I'm excited to see where Nia goes. I would love for them to book Nia to kind of Okay, so I'm gonna go on this tangent real quick. So I think Nia should be booked to demolish the SmackDown women's roster. Like everyone tries but can't and beats everybody. And then, we fast forward, it's like Nia has eliminated everyone, but there's only one woman on the SmackDown roster who she has yet to face, and that's when we get the return of Charlotte Flair. And then, because Tiffany has gone on record saying that Charlotte is the reason that she got into wrestling, you have Nia and Charlotte play games with Tiffany, with Nia continuing to be Tiffany's friend. Charlotte saying this is just like, girl, you got to do what you got to do. Nia versus Charlotte happens, and then Tiffany inserts herself, cashes it in, and takes the title for herself.
Wow, Charlotte's coming up on a year, right? She's
been should be coming back relatively soon.
Wow, so that would be, that might be the trigger they pull for Survivor Series heading into the end of the year, right? That could be that. They could save that for the Rumble, possibly, to start the year off with something like that. I think that would be that's something Charlotte would want, right? I'm back. I want to be in the picture. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to do anything I'm not going to try and earn my keep. That's very Charlotte, right? I'm here. Give me the title shot. I do think I would have loved to see Bayley hold it a lot longer for sure, but Bayley's going to be here forever. She's going to hold 3 or 4 more titles. She's going to get work. So it is unfortunate. It was honorable of her to put Nia over like this. So now we have Nia in the record books for this stuff. I'm intrigued. We'll see where this goes.
Yes. So okay, I'm gonna put this up here real quick.
Oh, here we go.
Because now we're about to get into some spicy stuff. Of everything that I could see afterwards, this is the most divisive match that we're going to talk about next. But boy, howdy, here we go. Because let me tell you. So, okay, let me just get this out the way. So this is the only non-title match that is on the card. This is, I guess you would call this a grudge match, but this is CM Punk taking on Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as guest referee.
Yep.
We already established this, and we talked about this yesterday during the WWE review.
I called him Beetlejuice as he walked out, and I thought I was dying.
He was right though. And then if you inspect,
that's all I saw. I was like, "This is."
And then when you when you inspect his outfit closer, like when we got close-up shots too, I was like, sir, you replaced the black stripes with lace. Like, what is this? Like, that was tailor-made.
He had some lace and rhinestones and them shiny pants. He made it look good.
So this was a grudge match, Punk versus McIntyre. And so, okay. You know, I had a conversation with a friend of mine after this match was over. And the best way I can describe this match for me, it was not a wrestling match, but it was a sports entertainment match. And we focused on the story because we had all the actors involved here who they similarly dislike or hate each other.
Sure.
So Punk hates McIntyre. McIntyre hates Punk. Seth hates both of them. McIntyre and Punk kind of hate Rollins too in a little bit. This was fun in the sense that Seth was kind of like, let them do whatever. But then when the push came to shove, he's like, yeah, no, we can't really go too far. Drew McIntyre being an absolute troll during this match was fantastic. Yeah. CM Punk got too emotional. And like Drew McIntyre said on the Twitter after this match, CM Punk screwed CM Punk in this match because he lost this match because he got mad because Seth Rollins was wearing the bracelet because he picked it up and was trying to get it out of the way. And Punk got too emotional. And that's when Seth said, we don't want you here. I hate you. You're cancer. I was like, damn, Seth. I was like, just keep going with it. But McIntyre picks up the win. This match was crazy in the sense that this was all story and I was kind of here for it.
Yeah. And I think that was the right thing to do. CM Punk coming off being out for what did we say 6-7 months, something weird like that.
Something like that.
He was out for a while. And then they gave us all the stats. Like this was his first one-on-one match in like a year. This was his first match in a PLE in like 5, 6, 7 years. He hasn't had a win and something like they dropped all that before we started. I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to go, actually, I get it, but you know where I'm talking about. I thought this as I was watching, and a few other folks reiterated this, and I kind of read them about too. It's going to take a little while for CM Punk to get back to that cardio place. He was definitely, I'm not saying struggling, but he was feeling it about halfway through here. A very different cadence, whereas if you look at 2 years ago when he had a match with one Samoa Joe, very different pace, very different freneticism, and we've come very far with that. So I'm not saying rust, that's not what I want to say, but there was just this is what it takes, and his body was reacting, and he was kind of feeling, hey, I'm 40 something, right? Like his body was feeling it. Drew is still in fantastic shape and driving. Seth doing all Seth sitting on the ropes, like just kind of watching, doing the old Shawn Michaels thing. I thought that was really fun too. We did have shades of 1997, which we talked about with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in the Undertaker match and going way back. So I'm glad that they kind of echoed that. They didn't repeat it. I didn't want them to do the same thing. I wanted something similar because we're in the business of archetypes and storytelling, right? I wanted to kind of see that. That being said, this was pure story, like you were talking about, right? I didn't hate this match. Is it the best wrestling match of the night? No. Is it the most emotionally charged peak of an arc of a story of a thing? Well, yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we're watching this one for the beauty of wrestling. We're watching this for, pure emotion. We know they all hate each other and we don't know what's real and what's not.
Hang on, I gotta highlight this comment from Andrew real quick. Drew is an action figure.
Oh, absolutely. Drew might be the only Drew's action figure.
He is sculpted like an action figure.
Drew's action figure, when you see it in the store, is the only action figure that looks like the guy. Everyone else's, you're like, no, he does not have those abs. You look at Drew's figure and go, oh yeah, that's Drew. Oh yeah, that's
like, how did they get all the hair correct too? Anyways,
the hairline, everything else. I agree. Drew's an ogre for a reason. And seeing baby Drew McIntyre 20 years ago and then looking at him now,
bro,
wow, you put the time in to look like an ogre.
When he got released initially and when he was like super skinny, and then when he came back years later, I was like, bro, he hit the gym. Yeah. He went on a quest. Like,
Yeah, he went and
He literally
drank.
is our barbarian for all of you D&D nerds.
Oh, he's ridiculous. There's some brutal moments in here. Drew doing that seesaw thing to CM Punk underneath was
That was
devastating.
brutal.
Because that's something I've seen CM Punk do to a lot of people and try to kill him. So again, you're not watching this for the wrestling. You're watching this this is the climax of a story of murder and broken laws and people destroying each other. And we're planting the seeds with that little bracelet and other things. And what's great about this, and I'll stop talking about it, I don't know what's real or what's not anymore. And that's kind of a beautiful place to be. I'll say it like that.
I 100% agree with you. Again, this was a match that was pure story. McIntyre ultimately wins this. There's still a lot of juice left in this, and I would not be surprised if we build to something between these two. Like, literally, this is the feud that you put on Bad Blood.
Yeah, because it's Bad Blood.
And again, we don't know if it's real or fake or kayfabe, but even still.
Yeah. And I think after the match, I think that the people giving CM Punk shit for cardio, I think are leaning a little too heavy onto it. I definitely thought he was gassed, but I didn't think it held up anything. I love seeing him at the end. This was after everything was done, giving the big hug to Stephanie McMahon and having that little bit of conversation there. And I was like, that's a class act. That's kind of tells me the state of everything and everyone, and people who had to humble themselves and you hope made apologies, or because we all know not to rehash all that stuff, but like, hey,
I also never had any beef with Stephanie as a backstage person either. From what I could tell, everyone seems to genuinely like her and love her. So I was like, she was a big proponent for the women's division too. She's the reason why we had 2 years of the Mae Young Classic, because Stephanie wanted women's wrestling to be showcased, which was fantastic.
Yeah, do more.
And then we got the Evolution pay-per-view too, because she wanted to push for that as well.
Do it again.
Let's do it.
I mean,
if Stephanie wants to come back into the company and do all that, I am here for it. I know she took, she left when all that was going down, and she's like, I'm gonna be a mom for a little bit and go home, stay with the kids, all that stuff.
She's got three kids, 4 kids. She has children.
Yeah, her and Hunter have lots of children.
Yeah.
So, again, I thought this was a really fun. I already said my critique. I felt like Seth was kind of like an afterthought into this whole entire feud. But even in this match, he kind of was also an afterthought, but that's okay.
And he should be. Special guest referee.
So now that this is over, I'm interested to see where Seth goes with this.
Mm-hmm.
And if he goes somewhere else in terms of feuding, or we throw him and Punk, or we keep these three together, we shall see what happens.
I would watch any of these. I would watch Seth Drew. You can go anywhere. You could rematch
There's
him.
a whole triangle of matches in here, and I would be here for all of it.
It'd be great.
It would be. So we're gonna move on. Okay. So I don't know if it was here or after this match, but I'm going to put it right here. We get a teaser trailer for Bash in Berlin, which is literally in 4 weeks on Saturday, August 31st. And I'm super excited because that Berlin crowd is going to go nuts. And if the song they were playing in the trailer happens to be the theme song, they made the correct choice in letting Baby Metal be the themes. Let the band be the theme song for Bash in Berlin, which is such a great tune, which makes sense because the people they collaborated with that song, I think, are in Berlin too, in that area. So fantastic. But Bash in Berlin is in 4 weeks, another international pay-per-view, and I'm excited only because I know that international crown is going to bring it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to move on to somebody who might be there, but let me tell you, okay, like this match was had me smiling from beginning to end because this was a really great match. And in fact, I wouldn't, I'm going to do away with this was the match of the night. I was like, this is the match I had the most fun with. That's the better way of saying this.
I would agree with you. I would have the caveat to that as well. I know there is someone who's watching right now who doesn't like chop fests.
But my God.
But this was a great chop fest.
This is done right. Like anytime I see Gunther on here, I was like, listen, we've seen a bunch of wrestlers in WWE and in other promotions, like we put up there for like having devastating chops. Like Ilya's chops are crazy. Eddie Kingston when he does it right. Katsuyori Shibata's chops are nuts as well. But my God, if you step into the ring with Gunther, like, is lights out, and Damian paid for it. But what I also love too, and what made this match more really fun for me, is the fact that Damian fought back and he made Gunther bleed.
So was it the chop that made him bleed, or was it the bracelet that got him?
You know what? Personally, I don't care because Gunther bleed and he never bleeds.
I was just curious, but Gunther had a few moments of like, you made me bleed my own blood. Like he was like, I don't know what to do. What's coming out of my body? Like it was a trip to watch. This was, classic big men slapping man meat match, and it was quite fun. I'm giving away the ghost. I'm going to say this. I didn't think they'd pull the trigger on the betrayal here. I thought they were going to make us sit on it even longer. But since I thought that, what happened, and I was all in. I loved it because I was like, oh, it is going to happen right now. Okay, and it's going to happen like this. Oh my God.
Like, I want to talk about how they staged this too. So Damian has Gunther dead to rights. So Finn has gotten knocked out at this point. So Damian and Gunther are by the ropes. He gets to the 2 count, and then Finn puts Gunther's rope on there. Damian couldn't see, which I love the fact that he stopped a little bit to watch the screen, the replay, to see what happened.
I love that.
Then camera people, you get my kudos, because like the shot of Damian looking at Finn Balor from the ring and Finn turning away from him and then slowly turning around with his devilish grin, which then allows Gunther to pin him. I was like, oh, that's it. Damian starts to go out a little bit, fights back, and then I was like, oh, snap. Maybe he actually might retain here despite Finn's thing. But Gunther gets out of the 2. Damian sees red. Shout out to Damian, because I thought he was literally about to choke the life out of Finn. He grabbed that man by the throat.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, that's anger right there. But, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Gunther capitalizes once again, and I like that Damian passes out instead of tapping or getting pinned, because you still make Damian look strong. And your winner
passes out glaring at Finn.
Yes, that was the best part.
Like they made this as cinematic as possible. I've talked about this on SmackDown reviews since once Triple H got in charge. It's like, we're going to do more cinematic things with cameras, with stories, with everything. And they started the whole beat of the end of this with Gunther kicking Finn and Damian turning around and going, you kicked my best friend. And that gives him the second win to lead into the go home sequence where we get the betrayal and everything else. Beautiful storytelling here. This was a Gunther match, even though Damian had some great moments on it, right? Like Gunther just showed out too and did what Gunther does.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's interesting that no one's jumping on. This was a storytelling match, right? But no one's giving this one any grief. Everyone's thinking, oh, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. This was great. This is great. This is great. So it's just interesting to me. Some matches get a pass and some don't, even though on the books, they're kind of the same thing.
Right.
I love that. Like we just talked about, Gunther's choking him out as he stares at Finn and Finn just glares. I think maybe we're going back to demon body paint Finn. Like maybe we're going back to
give me the Prince. Guy. That's his character, the Prince, who can access the demon Finn Balor if he needs to as well.
How cool. I love the look of that. And I know the New Japan history now that I've been reading up on that stuff. I'm like, oh my God, how freaking cool would that be? I love the Judgment Day imploding because now they all get to go somewhere.
The Terror Twins have been ousted because they both lost. The new Judgment Day is here with Liv and Dom and Finn probably leading the charge with JD. Like, this is going to be fun. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you, I was like, new Judgment Day 2.0, y'all better watch your back because the Terror Twins are now on the hunt. The Terror Twins of Damian and Rhea are going to come find you, and they're going to hurt you. It's going to be beautiful to watch. But Gunther, congratulations. He is our new world heavyweight champion. He going to hold this until WrestleMania. I'm calling it now. Gunther's going to have a long title reign with this one.
And he should. He showed he can hold it. He showed he can make a title interesting, right? He shows that when he has it, he brings a prestige to it. He's an international star where you have a whole bunch of international things lined up. Oh man, Gunther's chest is rocked. Damon got some chops in there. Sorry, I'm watching the replay too. I'm just looking at Gunther's chest like you don't always see Gunther's chest look like that. He got cracked.
Ooh, he got it
So
was fantastic.
I agree. I think it's great for Gunther. He's obviously earned it. He's put the time in. It's kind of a shame that we don't have the Imperium dudes with him anymore. That makes me sad because I liked that, but he might have been holding those two back because now they're doing other things.
They've both been out on injury, but Ludwig is coming back tonight on Raw, so that brings him back. And then no word on what's. Yeah, no word on what
got hurt. Both of them got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then no word on the timeline for Giovanni Vinci to come back. But Ludwig isn't back tonight, so we might play on that. But honestly, if Ludwig wants to go out and do his own thing too, I'm here for it as well. Because I feel that even though they're not a faction, they did not break up like in a bad way. So they could still come together and, you know, be a powerful faction if they need to.
I just liked them as a heel group. They were super cool, and they had that look and that general thing. It really sold out for Gunther. Not that he needs it, but I just miss it. I liked it.
I know, but this was a fantastic semi-main event because now we're going to talk all the things because we go to our main event. We have the Temu weekend in Solo Sikoa taking the weekday, as we call him on the SmackDown reviews. We have Solo Sikoa taking on our WWE Undisputed Champion, Cody, the American Nightmare Rhodes. And I got to say, you know, I wasn't sure how we were going to do a Bloodline Rules match. I feel like we could have still went more into it because it was more of a regular match with somewhat interferences. I did enjoy this a lot better than last year's SummerSlam Bloodline Rules match.
Yes.
Because I will say the most scariest spot on here, which was also the funniest spot to me, is when Cody had the stairs and was about to pull a repeat of what he did to AJ in Lyon, France. But Solo Sikoa kicks the stairs out of Cody's hands. Cody throws the stairs. They bounce into the corner, hit the turnbuckle, and bounce back towards them and almost hits Cody on the ricochet. I was just like, that was scary. That was hilarious as hell.
I do agree this was a far more interesting bloodline rules match, tribal combat, whatever we're calling it, matches. Sure. WWE just doesn't do hardcore no rules stuff. But then they don't do it well anymore. And maybe when they go to Netflix, they'll bring that back they'll change it.
Oh my God, it's blood.
Because I feel like some of these folks have it in them for sure. But whenever it's, you know, no holds barred, no rules or no count outs, whatever, they're not even, they're safer than the actual matches, right? Like they don't take any risks. Not since the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn against the Judgment Day when they were in Canada and they decided to go for it.
We saw
when they actually did
everything.
Anyway, we got to talk about Cody Rhodes coming out wearing that huge skull mask.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
I tried to post that on the internet. I sent you all clips of what I thought he looked like, General Kale from Willow. For those of you who are older than 30, I put it on the internet and it got taken down because they considered it a meme. And I was like, this isn't a meme. This was just my opinion. But anyway, I thought that was fun. I'm not sure if that's going to be super villain Cody someday. You know, someday he's got a heel turn. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but if it's giant, awkward skull face mask.
Yes, Andrew, we are excited because so for those of you who don't know what Andrew is referring to in the chat, those two dates are for GCW's Homecoming. So we know those matches are about to be out of pocket, but we're here for it.
That's the promotion for the real shit. I feel that. I kind of wanted this to be a bit more street. I wanted them to go out and do more stuff. Instead, we got accents of that with special appearances, which is okay. I don't know if Cody likes the hardcore stuff. He kind of did it with The Rock a year ago, right? We kind of got him getting beat with the belt in the middle in the parking lot. But Cody doesn't tend to do that. And we haven't really seen Solo do that since this bloodline thing started. I'm trying to think. So I don't know. Maybe that's just WWE. He did hit him with the Prime bottle. I don't know if that counts. That probably shouldn't count. He did. Took a swig of it and then threw it at his face, and then got the crowd covered in Prime. Which
Fantastic.
There's a horrible joke in there somewhere. I'm just gonna let it go.
So yeah, so let's break down the action to when we get to actual interferences, because this was a standard match with some like weaponry involved, and then the first interference comes in the form of the Gorillas of Destiny. So Tama Tonga and Tongaloa come in, they even it up, try to help Solo win. It doesn't work out, and then it turns into an Avengers movie, because then we get the return of Kevin Owens and Randall Keith Orton, as I like to say. The two of them come out to even the odds. They take the Gorillas of Destiny through the crowd to the back,
right?
And so they fight off. So that was cool and everything. Then we get into the scary part, because then Jacob, the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, comes in to try to help Solo win. Man goes on a tear in the ring. I love seeing it. Cody gets on the table. Jacob Fatu goes to do a splash from the top rope. And then in the aftermath, Jacob Fatu is screaming bloody murder. And then he's holding his foot. And I'm like, oh God, no.
So the legend and what's being spun on the internet, and then Triple H said this after the fact, was he was supposed to nurse a leg injury afterwards. And then Triple H went on to say, I don't know how bad he's hurt. It seems like he was walking it off just fine. We'll know more later. Anyone who watched it saw him snap a leg
or something.
When
or
you watch,
go watch.
I mean, it's kind of like this Zapruder film now. You could kind of see in it what you want to see. I see a boot and foot move away it shouldn't and snap back. And I saw that live, and I was texting everyone who was watching in the group text like, oh no, that's it. He's done. And everyone was like, no, he's selling. No. This was flashback to Vader Yokozuna, and Vader doing that bump wrong and blowing his leg out, and Yokozuna throwing all the things at the camera and telling people, cut, get me out of here. He knew right away he was injured, and so did Fatu. And he was also kind of referenced, go, get away, go on to the next thing, don't look at me. Like, he was hurt. And he had, I mean, that was all speed, no break. Like, he was flying in. So and the way this ends up going, and the fact that they just got the tag titles on him, and then this happens,
I hope,
is brutal to me.
That is, it wants poor Jacob. Like, we were doing great, but it's, you can never plan out for these things to happen, but he seems to be in good spirits from what we can see in pictures afterwards.
I just hope it's not like a surgery. You're out for 9 months.
He's just in a boot.
I hope he's just in a boot.
I hope not.
It looked like celery sticks to me. It looked like snap. And I'm like, but I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy. So it looked scary. And then what happened?
Absolutely. And so from there, Jacob Fatu is on the ground still. Solo and Cody go at it a little bit. The both of them are lying on the ground. And then this is where I get the whole night, because then we have Roman Reigns' music hit, and we get the return of the one tribal chief, in which Roman makes his way down to the ring. He gets in the ring. Superman punches and spears Solo, which allows Cody's looking at him. He looks at me. I look at him. Like, Roman and Cody have a stare off as Roman exits, and he's kind of on the ramp. He stares at Cody. It's like a good minute of it. Solo's just playing dead right there. And then Cody pins Solo to win. And then Solo Sikoa is PO'd because he yells and screams at Roman as Roman's walking back up the ramp, which means it's like, all right, Bloodline Civil War Survivor Series. That's what we're breaking up. And then according to the reports that got released today from the outlets, internally, Roman Reigns is now touted as a babyface. So I was like, well, duh.
Yeah.
So Cody still has the championship, But now we're setting up Solo and Roman are going to be fighting for probably the rest of 2024. Who knows where this leads Cody, who his next challenger is, and all that good stuff. So, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I thought they weren't going to do it here. I thought they were going to wait even longer. I think it remains to be seen if this is the right call or not. I do think Solo was getting stagnant, so needed something different. Solo, we saw that in his promos the last month or two, where he's just sort of, I'm saying the same thing. Roman is weak. I'm saying the same thing. I love Roman's shirt, which has been taken to mean original tribal chief, OTC on it, which is kind of remarkable. I think if they do an actual tribal combat match, and I'm just saying what I've said for a while, you have to get everybody back. You got to get Rikishi. You got to get the family members who are alive. You got to get The Rock. You got to get them all sitting in a circle with torches. Do it on a beach somewhere and just have someone drown someone in a, like, if you're going to do it now, you got to do it huge, because the last 2 times you've done it, you botched it and they were boring. You got to go big on this.
For real.
I hope it's a War Games type thing, and I hope that they go all out. This is your chance. And, you know, with the Netflix deal and with the way some of these things are building, I think Triple H is building towards something huge, and he's kind of hinting at that all the time. Mm-hmm. Cody hinted at that at a few interviews. What would make it the biggest thing ever? So I hope that's where we're going. Solo kind of throwing the tantrum at the end is adorable. I think they wanted it to come off as the Marlon Brando Stella, like the scream of agony, and actually it came more off like, you're not allowed to be here, I want to go home. Like, I don't think it didn't come off as pained as to me. I think other folks have other opinions, but I kind of love the stare down. I kind of like the way that goes at the end. And I'm on the record saying this. I'm not backtracking. I'm a lukewarm Roman fan. I'm not huge on Roman Reigns. Bloodline Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not a huge Roman Reigns guy. I do respect him as a person. I like Joshua. I like what he does for Make-A-Wish and as a wrestler and everything else. You know, I have nothing but respect. I want to see more from him in matches and in the ring. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. Yeah.
I mean, time will tell. I mean, Cody walks out. Yeah, so
this is another moment we could talk about the crowd again briefly. This is another moment where the crowd should have gone ridiculous. And the only it seems like only half of them knew who Roman was. This should have been ridiculous pop. This should have been the walls caving in. We should have seen the AJ Styles in France camera moving. Like, oh, the earth should have opened and it should have been screams. And it was, it drives me nuts. They zoom in on the white guy who obviously doesn't know anything about wrestling going, is that Roman Reigns? Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? These folks don't know where they are and who they're doing. So,
and we are not saying that this needs to be gatekeeped, you guys, but we need a little bit of research and y'all need to be invested. Like, come on now. It's entertainment. Y'all got to get invested into this.
It's like your friend that goes to the basketball game and says, how many points are a touchdown? You know? Or you go to the baseball game and go, so there's a 3-pointer when you get to second? No, that's not what this is. What do you like? You got to know a little bit. Or if you know nothing, just be willing to go along for the ride. Come on.
For reals. But, you know, Professor, that brings us to the end of our SummerSlam review. Again, I can't get over this poster.
It's it, man. I hope they make memes of that forever.
Seriously, we're going to find the memes for this. But let's give our empanada ratings for this. So this was the third Big Four pay-per-view for WWE of the year, which means we only have one more to go, which is Survivor Series. But Professor... Oh, actually, before we give our empanada ratings, let's do the thingamajigs. I lied. So we
onesie contest.
So we here at BC WrestlePod are holding a predictions league across all of the promotions. So WWE, AEW, TNA, and ROH are all going to have their own predictions league. And so we here at WWE have been fighting back and forth for these things since post WrestleMania. So we started with Backlash, and here we are. Someone put this up here. So here is where everyone currently stands. We have the records for SummerSlam and then the overall. So the winner of SummerSlam is myself because I have a record of 6-1. I only got one wrong. And then Minnie and the Professor both tied with a record of 4-3 for SummerSlam. And then overall records, the standings goes, I barely squeaked into first place with 16-6, but the Professor and Minnie are close behind me with 15-7. And with Bash in Berlin coming up, who knows where I'm going to end up. But I am currently in the lead, but not by much, which is frightening.
Man, I got to do better.
You will, I promise. But now let's get on to empanada rating. So, Professor, what do you give SummerSlam?
If the bar was last year's SummerSlam, way over the bar. As far as matches and PLEs go, and storytelling and everything you want from your SummerSlam, this is in that 8.5, almost 9 place for me. To me, 9 is something special that we've never seen before, and I think this comes as close as possible. So we're at 8.7, 8.9 empanadas, right? We're right there. To me, it's the history-making ones are the ones that are 9, 10, whatever, right? Is this history-making? It's pretty, like we just said, it's pretty close. You got LA Knight, you got so many titles being exchanged, you got the return of Roman Reigns. So there's a lot of history things in there to talk about. So I'm hedging my bet. I think this will get overshadowed by the next few things. Bash in Berlin, Bad Blood, and Survivor Series, I think, are going to overshadow this. So that's just me coloring I'm subjective. I'm a human. I'm sorry. But I think this is the PLE you need to go into the next 3 or 4 that you got to have.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
This is, you just built a foundation of this to close out the year. You're in great shape. So yeah, I know Adolfo's going to hate this. Yeah, 8.75 empanadas. I ate all the empanadas and just left a crumb of another one.
Adolfo will live. But I agree with you. I'm also going to give this like an 8.75.
Obviously, yeah, it's right there, right?
Obviously, because this was a very story-driven PLE, and this is what I've been wanting from my companies the whole entirety of 2024. And we wrapped up a bunch of storylines that we've been building since post WrestleMania leading into all this. And now, as you mentioned, Professor, now we're going to be building new feuds and new stories that will carry us into the final Big Four pay-per-view of Survivor Series at the end of November.
Oh, man.
I'm mad that British Columbia, Vancouver is getting this pay-per-view. I'm like, it should have been Los Angeles, but that's okay.
LA got stuff. They'll go back to LA.
They'll go back to California in some capacity. But that is going to be it for us here at the Grapple Gurus review. Professor, it was nice. I miss Minnie. I wish he was here, but it's nice that when the OG SmackDown crew gets together, because it was just me and you when we started SmackDown. Hey, so we got to do a 2-person review for a pay-per-view.
We got to riff. We got to go a long way. We did this review in less time than the actual PLE itself, which is always the goal, right?
Oh, absolutely. So before we get up on out of here, just to do a little bit of housekeeping, it is a busy week here as we begin the month of August for BC Wrestle Pod. We just had our Dual Dynasty show premiere yesterday morning, which is our new combined WWE show for Raw and SmackDown. We covered SummerSlam tonight, and tomorrow we are doing the mega all elite ensemble review where we are combining all 3 AEW shows. So it's going to be myself, the Professor, JVL, Alice and El Buntador II. The 5 of us are going to be back here tomorrow evening.
That's a whole lot of opinions, by the way.
It's going to be so good. But we are going to be covering Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, all the highs, the lows, and we might go on some tangents. It's going to be a good time. And then, of course, stay tuned for later in the week where we will also be doing Ring of Honor and TNA on Friday. So it's going to be a fun week. We get a little bit of a break because we have no pay-per-views for the next 2.5 weeks, which I'm thankful for because July was already a lot because at the beginning of July up until now, we had a pay-per-view almost every single weekend. But we get a break, but then we ramp it up at the end of the month because we have make sure you follow us everywhere because we got AEW All In. We got TNA's Emergence pay-per-view, WWE Bash in Berlin, and then a week after All In, we have AEW's All Out too. So
and GCW in there, Homecoming.
GCW Homecoming, it's about to get nuts. But that is going to be it for us here tonight. Make sure to tune in tomorrow and again, any time you want to pop into the BC Wrestle Pod, we love having you. We want to have conversations with you. So make sure to leave us a like, a comment, subscribe on the button, and also, check out our social medias and stuff like that. Also, we have merch, so you can check out the link in the bio here to buy and support some really cool merch. But from me and the professor and the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you tomorrow for the All Elite Ensemble review. But until then, sayonara, adios, and we'll talk to you later. Because you wanted to.
Oh,